So before we start discussing the tool first, I think it's important to give you a visual representation of what this tool is able to do. So this is a RE image. I have taken it to Rec 709. I'm applying my film colors DCTL to get this look. Now, after this, when I adjust my contrast using my contrast tool, this is the output that you can get. So this is the before and this is the after. So let's dive straight into it. So initially, when you try to adjust contrast and resolve using the native tools, you might pull the slider up and struggle with it on where to land your contrast. And it can also get more difficult for you knowing that changing the pivot changes how contrast gets applied to the image. The other thing you might do is go here, click on the area of your interest, and then use the curves to pivot around that point. While curves give you superior control, it also allows you to individually adjust the RGB channels based on your needs. Even though curves give you fine controls, they do not give you mathematical precision to adjust contrast, which can be applied to your subsequent images. So those are the problems. Now let's look at the solution. So I enable the contrast, which is the mid-control DCTL, and you can see clearly the effect it has on the picture. I'm going to go ahead and reset this DCTL. Now we are going to try and get a compelling output from this image using just our contrast DCTL. So right now, the first thing that you have to do is adjust your midpoint slider. What midpoint slider does is it highlights the area of the selected IRE on your image. What do I mean by that? Let me turn on the show middle selection. As you can see, the picture is turning black and white. It is essentially creating a mask view of your image. As I move the midpoint around, you can see it is highlighting the areas that fall on the specific IRE region that is selected on the slider. So right now, you can see 33.6. Since I'm working in DaVinci white gamut, the mid gray is 33.6. You can see it is highlighting the gray patch of the image at around 32 or 33. So I am going to keep this midpoint in the area where I would like to add contrast around. So this is the important part. If I want to add contrast around her face, what does it mean to add contrast around the selection? Typically, when you're adjusting contrast, it is important that you adjust contrast around the pivot. If we do not do that, there is a possibility that the area of interest might be underexposed or overexposed. For me, the face is the area of interest, so I'm trying to keep the midpoint at an IRE level of 37.2, which is seen as a bright patch on her face. So I'm going to disable the show middle selection. And if you want the simple application of it, you can go ahead and just adjust the shadows curve and the highlights curve and get a beautiful contrast. As you can see, this contrast is getting added without the midpoint or the selected point getting affected. The brightness in her face remains while the contrast gets added around it. Now, there are some pretty interesting functions in this DCTL that you can utilize. In the shadow curve type and the highlight curve type, you have few options here. You can go with a strong curve. You can even go with an intense quadratic curve. Depending on the needs of your project and the image, you can choose what you like. I have another option called show curves. Turning it on will show you this curve on the screen and it will denote the changes you have made using this DCTL. You can also adjust the black point on the white point of your image without destroying the curve that was generated. Down below that, you have 6 more controls. There are specific controls for the red, green, and blue channels, shadows, and highlight adjustments. We can try and do a simple split toning using this tool, but it is not the same as what you do use my Film in Colors DCTL because that operates in a different color space. So if you want a quick split tone, all you have to do is go ahead and control this red, green, and blue shadows and highlights controls. And let me go to my red highlights and increase it a bit. And let me go to my blue shadows and drop it down or increase it. So that quickly created a split tone for you. So this is the before and this is the after. When we turn off the curves. So this is what we were able to create with the contrast DCTL. You can find the mid-control DCTL in my GitHub. The link is in the description. I have added the link to the tool in description. You can download it for free from my GitHub. Also make sure you're starting and watching the repo or even bookmark it to get the latest updates of each of these DCTLs. If you would like to know more about such useful DCTLs for DaVinci Resolve, make sure you subscribe to the channel and also hit the notification icon. I'll see you again in the video. Until then.